You're on.
Wow. And welcome to Talking Chickens with M&M Exhibition Poultry. This is episode number 27. We have Amanda Heitzman. She is the secretary of the Dayton Fancy Feathers Club show. That's her puppy in the background, I do believe. We're going to talk to Amanda today about the upcoming Dayton show. They have a lot of meets. She'll give us a rundown on the entries, I'm sure. And then it's also the national meet of the International Waterfowl Breeders Association. So if you're not doing anything, that's the first full weekend of October, which would be, I don't remember the dates. Anyway, Amanda will tell us. But if you're not doing anything, stop by. It's always a great show. We'll get into that here shortly. A couple other things. We are sponsored by Rogier's Poultry Supply. As always, you can contact them right below here at www.rogierpoultrysupplies.com. Tell them we sent you. And I'm just trying to think if there's anything that's developed since 3 days ago when we did the other one. I think Matt's got the Rhode Island Red stuff rolling along and get to do all that fun editing and pushing together and uploading and downloading and side loading and reloading. So what do you got there, Maddie?
Yep, the Rhode Island Red, the 1999 to 2001 breeder store. I think there's 6 or 7 of them. That's uploading as we speak. It's like an 8 gig file. So it's been working all day. I'm still working on the show DVDs. They're not wanting to rip right. So I'm kind of working on that one. Updates on the Ivamec thing still going. I haven't had any mercs yet. And then I did get one from one of our listeners yesterday or today that I sent you that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
They take, this is for mites, northern fowl mites. They take a piece of copper pipe about 18 to 24 inches long, and they must have an auto watering system like I do, and put that copper pipe in the water. And they say it affects mites. They learned it from the aquarium business. I guess they get snails in aquariums and stuff. And if you take a piece of copper pipe and put it in the aquariums, it kills any of those invertebrates and things with shells. So something to try. I can't verify that it works, but sometimes with northern fowl mites, you'll do anything. So if you've got a big tank or a big watering system, you can try that and then let us know the feedback. But they enjoy it. It's Laura. Oh, I just had her name, Laura Elwood. Thanks, Laura, for listening. Number one. Number two, for sending in some suggestions. So got quite a few from the Jacobs thing, and I think we got everybody pretty well covered. Don Schreider sent me a whole list of breeders to get on, and my concern with some of them was they're not real tech savvy, but he did mention Tim Ballinger, and we do need to get Tim on and talk about Langshans and maybe get Sue on as well and talk about waterfowl. So I got them on the list. I think that's all I got right now.
Yeah, we could see them weekend after this at Dayton.
Yeah, we can talk at Dayton. I know Nate thought maybe we could do a thing there, and this might be a good idea. It's just manipulate it because we'll have to do it on phones. But I go through the heavy geese with him as we're going down the aisle.
We might be able to do it and just record on our
on the camera,
on the notebooks, because that's a pixel also, and they take wonderful videos. Yeah. Maybe we can do that.
And they're a little easier to manipulate than the phone. We'll try to get that arranged while we're down there and get him along, because I don't think he's judging, so he can come along with us and we can look at the big geese, because I did get requests for them. A lot of good feedback on the Muscovy duck stuff. So that's it. Get to Amanda.
All right. Welcome, Amanda.
Thanks.
Long time no see. Haven't seen you all the way since last Saturday. So tell us a little bit. I mean, Matt and I can expound, because we've been going to Dayton since 1975, something like that. All the old crotchety farts that were there running it, and now we're old crotchety farts that go to it. But if expound on kind of, if you can, a little history and what's going on. And I know you have one to me, one of the best facilities in the country as far as openness and space. And there's room for everything. And then you get the second building if you have to. It's just, you're not cramped. No matter what your entries are, you're never cramped there. It's a wonderful place. And it's a great little town. The dining is somewhat suspect at times. But you get into a routine. So, but anyway, take it away. What do you got?
So, Greenville, sorry. Greenville is a great show. I've been involved with it since I was in high school, so over 20 some years now, and been watched it over the years kind of grow from the Coliseum that you guys know that it's been probably when you first started going.
Oh yeah.
To then we eventually went to that cattle barn, and what a kind of gamble that was, to go from our tradition to that brand new nice building. And like you said, big, nice, wild aisles, can fit everything in there. And I have to give kudos to
all singled up too.
Yeah. Not going up and down the ramp and going up and down stairs to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean, as you guys know, not everyone, is that young. So, I mean, people were carrying geese up and down stairs and everything else. And so just works better for unloading and setup.
Yep. I agree.
Phenomenal group that I have to help set up the show of, couldn't do it without, Michael, Ken, Tyler, Bud, and Bud does the awards, and, people have jumped in different years and come help. Mike, I know, you and Matt both have come to different stuff and help, set up or tear down, and any of that help is greatly appreciated because it takes a full army to make this thing happen. So
sure does.
I mean, and I know Rick and them have been involved in it way longer than I have, and said it's been one of the oldest poultry organizations in the state. So great tradition there that we just kind of want to keep on going. And the Bear Board has been great with us. I think that's been one of our key working relationships to kind of keep that nice relationship going with them. And the fair uses cages and we kind of own them together, and we've bought more over the years. So, and we store them there. So that's a little bit behind that relationship to kind of keep that going.
That's a good idea. You have to make connections and you have to keep those. It's like friendships, right? I mean, you have to keep those things alive and try.
Yeah.
Instead of always, being pissy with everything and you bite the hand that feeds you. Well,
it's kind of, I can give you probably a little more history because this was all before Amanda was born, but in 72 was my first time down. So it was a big ABA show. So they always had a lot of ABA semi-annuals, and the show was actually the first weekend in June. So it was on graduation weekend here in Ohio, which was a bad time, but those old guys never wanted to move it. And then I think it was probably in the late 80s, early 90s, Mike, the judge. Mike Crawford, gosh, that's how bad I am. They decided to move it into that weekend in April because they thought it would be a little earlier, wouldn't be butting up against all those graduations. I know I graduated from high school on Friday night and showed at Dayton on Saturday morning. So that was always a pressed weekend to try to get down there and show. So they moved it to that first weekend in April, and then with the demise of some other shows, they ended up picking up the October date for a fall show. So it was just for years, just a spring show.
Yep.
And we had lots of big ABA semi-annuals down there. Gosh, I remember several. I know we talked with Rick last year. I know there was one in that time frame that was several thousand birds. That was the biggest one they had ever had. And in the old Coliseum, they were double decked.
Yep.
In there, I mean, it was jam packed. That wasn't like you got now, great wide aisles and lots of room to manipulate through there. It was pretty tight up in there. And then we always had a banquet in the basement. So after we got done showing all day, we go down to the basement and have a banquet, which was pretty common back in those days. But lots of good memories. I don't think I've missed many over the years since then. If it was, it's because I just couldn't get away. It was always bad there in June too because of weddings. You always had something that weekend that we could, you sometimes would miss. But I was glad to see them move it up earlier in the spring. birds were never in very good condition the first weekend in June either. So, some of those shows that are later on, they struggle. So they've made lots of changes. I've seen lots of changes in the 50 some years I've been going down there, and it just gets better and better.
Yeah, if you think of it, when we first started, I mean, you had people like Carl Papert and Grant Malone. I mean, they both were ABA vice presidents and presidents, and it seemed like half the board was
Jack
always
Monday,
there.
Doris
Jack
and
was there. Yeah.
Doris King and her husband were Joe King. They were big in that for years.
Furman Geeting. I mean, it was always a really good show quality wise. And size wise, I think I had my first best Old English ever there with Virgil Carey.
Tom's dad.
Yeah, on a BB Red cockerel. And I think that is one of the 2 or 3 that stick out no matter how much winning we have done later in life. That first time you ever got, especially in Old English, that was it still is a big deal. Because there's a lot of really nice Old English always at Greenville. Breeders come from all over the country. So I think it's
you get a good range of people. That's always, because you're close to 70 and 75. It's easy to get to. It's not like you're out in the middle of nowhere. So
nope.
Those things are always good. I'm trying to think of some others. Oh, it's always been a great waterfowl show, even back then. So with the IWBA coming in again, they must really like you, because they're not the easiest club to please. So you guys have done a good job getting them happy.
I think we had some definite help with that, and seeing the national call come in last year, I think was helpful to see that. Yep, we can handle that, and yes, we can borrow cages if we need to. Even though we do have a decent amount of cages, we are looking at definitely a lot bigger geese than we've ever had. So cages are going to be borrowed to help facilitate that. So
and that's a great promo, because I know from exhibiting geese years ago, they're just sometimes not treated the best at the shows. They're kind of treated as a nuisance. So to have somebody actually welcome that large waterfowl in and kind of promote them a little bit, I'm sure they're going to appreciate it and actually look forward to seeing it, because we get to see a lot of stuff that we don't see all the time, and you get to see quantities. I mean, you'll probably have 30 or 40 Sebastibles, and you just don't see that many of them, normally at boat shows. So that's kind of looking forward to that part of it.
Yeah, the large duck class is well over 100, almost 100 medium ducks. So that's going to be another huge one of just to see. And some of the breeds that I've seen come across that we typically don't have is nice to see coming from Wisconsin. And it's nice to see people come from different areas. Yeah. We, always have our, loyal people who always come back year after year. And that's great. And it's always good when we get new people and pick up some new people over the years. So you're like, wow, we've always heard about this and really glad we come. So.
Well, I think you've sold them boys from North Carolina, because they've been coming pretty regular.
Yep.
And their shows aren't, nothing down there is laid out like yours is. So I know Matt Burnett and Jimmy Sorrells and some of those guys we know down that way. John Miles, they all like to come up to Dayton. Yeah. And just because of the aisles, I think the aisles, and you can really see the birds. So
yeah, Tom Carey, whether he's judging or not, Tom is there. It seems like one of the 2 shows a year, if not both shows, right. Which is pretty good, since Tom has a show just a couple weeks afterwards. And so, I mean, it's just good, because it's good people. It's a very friendly atmosphere. If something's not right, it's made right. Y'all can do things on the fly if you have to, but very rarely do you have to, because, you've been doing it a long time, truthfully. Same crew, same core, you can rely on them same people. So no, it's I know we look forward to it every year, even if we don't get to go to many shows. I mean, if we don't show, we go, which doesn't happen very often, but it has happened. So it's a great show. So what kind of numbers are we looking at?
So 495 juniors and a little over 2,000 then in the open, to give a total of like 2,570. So
Okay. I
That's
forgot to mention Betty Weingartner and Michael Schlumbaum and that whole crew over there in the junior show. They put on a fantastic event for the kids. So it's definitely one that they don't want to miss. And I know you get about all the local juniors, but you get some from pretty far away too. So that's a good show for them. You got really good judges for juniors. So you're not just chunking anybody in there. I know we've judged them before, and normally if somebody's showing and not judging, we'll get one of those in. So you've got some good junior judges, so they get a good look at their birds and double show. So it's also a double show.
Yeah. Yeah. When I first came on with Grant Malone there and Walter and Mike Crawford was even there a little bit, I just remember it being that single show and them being so welcome. And Doris, she was the show secretary, seeing her. And so I think they would be totally shocked to see what it's grown into.
Oh, I'm sure.
They laid down the groundwork, and it's just been because of all the club members of, okay, they'd be like, what about a double show? Okay, I don't know. Let's tackle that. How are we going to do that? So I feel like we're all kind of like, what as a group do we want to do and making that happen? So
I always give him credit, but Rick Bond put on the first double show I was ever at, probably one of the first ones we ever seen.
I think so.
And it was over in Bloomington when they still had the White River show. Was actually it kind of evolved back to White River, but it was in Bloomington at one time. And we've always kind of modeled everybody to talk to Rick and see what he did. But he had it boom, boom, boom. This is what you got to do with a double show. You can't have any downtime, any lag time. You've got to keep it moving. You got to keep the judges working. And I know last weekend they had some issues. And one of the most important positions at a poultry show is the clerk. So you have to have that little clerking session, get everybody on the same page, make sure they're filling out your cards the way you want them, and not bothering the judge too much and doing what they're supposed to be doing. But that's an important thing to have. And you guys always have good clerks and people to shuffle all the paperwork back and forth to you, and everything goes real smooth. And that's the secret to a double show. But Mike and I have been to some horrible run double shows where you have that lack of, you got to flip the cards when they need flipped. And if you have to go get exhibitors to help you flip, you got to do that. And I know we flipped cards last weekend so they could get moving, but it's got to run chop, chop, chop. So you guys do a good job of that.
Yep.
Yeah. Great people that help make that all happen. I mean, like you said, the exhibitors jump in, judges, clerk have helped flip tags before, because it's a job to get it all done for sure. And all that help is, needed. And I think it helps people understand how a show works. So there's a little bit more understanding for when people want to put entries in and kind of what goes on behind the scenes of.
Another big selling point, we probably don't brag on you enough, for those of us that raise Bantams that require a little bigger cage. You always put the Leghorns and the Sumatras and the whatever it is.
Rose comb males.
Anything that needs a little bigger cage, you guys have bunches of cages anyways, but you have those available, which makes it really nice, because I have rose comb white Leghorns, and a lot of times I don't show them if I have to put them in a Bantam cage. And you have Leghorns yourself. It takes too long to get it, and I ain't going to ruin it in a weekend in a little cage. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Another thing that's good is you have a double show, but we have 2 days.
Yeah.
So that it's a double show, like we always talk about how there's not enough time. But here, if you have a double show, and the same as last weekend, you still have time, because you have after the show, and then the morning, and then people get out. And I will say the coop out there is always, those big doors open up, and it's amazing how fast and how smooth people go right on. I mean, within a half hour, we used to be taking down the tent and looking around. Hell, the only birds that were in there are ours, or you guys that run the show still have your birds in there. Everything else is gone, and cages and shit's flying, and that's coming down, and clips, and so that's a good thing. And I think if people would they could help, but if they just stick around just a little bit to see what goes on, see how that all comes in.
Another big plus for them is their sale area. So I know I send 4-H kids, especially all of them, I tell them they don't go to the spring show and try to find birds. Go down there this fall because a lot of the breeders are getting rid of their extra stock, and that's always a good place to pick stuff up. And your Trader's Row is always packed. Yeah. It's got a good selection of stuff. We got good breeders back there selling birds, and there's not a lot of what I call flea market stuff. It's all pretty much showable. So that's a big selling point. And you got plenty of room back there to get in there and do your deals. And then you have vendors back there as well. I know we're not doing it this year because we're kind of slowing down on the feed truck with having to show birds and everything else. But normally we're there and talk to a lot of people about feed and whatever. So I think you've got Victor coming to do supplies. So
yep,
he'll be there. And I know the IWAB will have a table. Mike and I got an ABA table reserved. We'll be selling standards and some old yearbooks that we're rounding up. I do need to get with you, Amanda, because what we've been doing the junior shows and the Ohio shows is we've given all the junior members a yearbook when they come in. So we have some extra issues. So if I get a count from you on how many juniors you have, I'll throw them in, and we'll give them a new edition, a different one. So they're full of a lot of good information, and hopefully it'll get them maybe interested in joining. Number one. Number two, they can look for breeders in there, or even the pictures are really good in the yearbook. So we like to give those extra ones to the juniors to kind of encourage them.
Yeah, I love that because helping the juniors is great. I mean, like you already touched on, Betty and Michael do a great job with that junior show. And, we even have a champion row for them set up and double show for them. So I think the juniors appreciate, their birds get looked at the same. They pay the same entry fee as everyone else. So.
And they're getting good judges. That's a great selling point for junior shows. And it's one of the better ones. We get around a lot. It's definitely one of the, there in Columbus, I say, are probably the two biggest and best junior shows in our area.
Yeah, I think, showmanship's, Betty always works on getting judges, and Michael for being competitive. And you're right. I try and tell as many 4-Hers that are local, like, if you want to come to a show and you want good birds, this is when you need to come. So
especially the waterfowl people. I had went and sorted some blue Swede ducks for a local 4-H lady, and I said, well, if you want to improve your stuff, get down to Greenville this weekend, because there'll probably be a few there, and you'll be able to talk to the people that raise them. There you go. That's your lead in, Mike.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm just sitting here spacing out.
Coffee all over me.
There you go. Well, we're back to normal now.
It's about the 8th cup. Can you tell?
Yeah, just a little bit. A little bourbon in that, you'd be a little more chill. I've
already been to Columbus today and delivered feed to Newt and Don Monkey and Ray Dillon. So I've been there and back, and in the fog and the rain, and then got home and did a little work around here. And Ray gave me 2 of the biggest mums I've ever seen in my life. They're, I would say, bushel basket size, but they're bigger than that. So,
oh, really?
If you ever get to Dillon's farm stand on Broad Street in Columbus, he's got them.
He's got all kinds of stuff there.
Yep, pumpkins, everything.
When we're talking about the sales area, it always amazed me that there's a lot of shows this time of year around here in these 2 or 3 states. But if you put Columbus aside, which is always a free for all, and I've never seen anything sell like them. It's like just junkies and crack. It's amazing how much stuff sells there. But your show always, if you've got decent birds to sell, they sell. If you need to buy, they're there. There's a lot of good transactions go on at your show. And a lot of shows, they'll have a sale area, but when you get there, I mean, who the hell would want to buy it? Number one. And there just aren't even other stuff. There's nobody looking there. It's not known for, they don't go for the idea, hey, I'm going to go see if I can find a pair of Seabrights, or I'm going to find some Old English or Leghorns or whatever, where they're always at your show.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big deal. So when you come down, guys, bring more money.
Yeah. What I don't think a lot of people realize, that building's so big. And we found it when we had the pigeon show and the waterfowl, you don't realize how many people go through there, because
No.
it's so big. Where we get into some of the smaller venues, it's real cramped. But down there's a lot of people going through there, but it's so big you don't really realize it. You know, I have to tell the story of how I got into the darn Rosecomb white-legged bantam. So our tent's way in the front there, and I had to go to the bathroom several times during the day because I drink a lot of coffee. And every time I went to the bathroom, Jeff Shank had a pair of white Rosecomb white-leggeds in there. And I kept looking at them. I said, those are pretty nice. And nobody has bought them yet. I think I passed them 20 times. I told Mike, if nobody buys them on Sunday, I'm buying them. So I went first pass on Sunday. They were still there. So I gathered them up and went and give Jeff money for them. And I told him I'd give him a $50 bill extra. And I said, what's that for? I said, I want the 5th place hen in your show pen. Well, what do you want her for? It's because she's the best one you got. So I took them home and threw them in a pen, and they both set on eggs. They hatched out, I don't know, 8, 12, 14 chicks. And that next spring at the spring show, I had reserve a breed Leghorn Bantam on a white Rosecomb male that I had raised out of that 5th place hen that I bought from him. So, and he beat me, but I was second. So I was happy with that. But that's how I got in Rosecomb white Leghorns, was just walking by them 50 times. And I thought somebody needs to take them home. And then it was me.
Yeah. Because your show's laid out in such a way where you got those tremendously wide, I'm going to say aisles on both sides of the show. And then, of course, then the all the birds are down. But when people come in, they have a tendency to come in. So, I mean, there'll be traffic going both ways in that aisle, and then both ends, and you really can't tell how many people are in there. But there's a hell of a lot of people are just in and out and around there when you're using both buildings, that little space in between. I just wonder how many people do come through there on a Saturday.
It's a lot. I don't have a number because I'm always so busy. And I know when people come up looking for, I want to buy Silberts from this person. Do you know who this person is? And I'm trying to look through the crowd and I'm like, well, I know who that is, but trying to get the cell phone reception maybe is not the greatest in that barn.
Right.
But generally I'm like, well, I know I can point you in that direction of where they were the last time I seen them. So
yeah,
I always send them to Bill Wolf. He knows everybody. I put it all off on Bill. And Bill will find them.
That's a good job for Wolf.
Yeah, he knows everybody. He'll tell you if they're there, if they're not there, because he seems to know all that stuff.
Yeah, he does know who's there.
Great facility. We pray for good weather. That's always a plus too, because a lot of us like to sit outside and shoot the bull, and it's been lucky the last few years we've had pretty good weather. So
yeah, we're hoping for good weather. And we had been shutting up the barn, but now we're going to leave it open late on Saturday. So if anybody wants to come back, we're going to be pulling up the champions and just trying to finish up some paperwork there. And so we decided, instead of us trying to close up and get back, that a couple of us said, you know what, let's just leave the barn open and just let people come back if they want to walk through the birds and talk with different people.
We tend to go up there to the Hang On Sloopy's, or what's the name of that place?
That's it. Hang On Sloopy.
Oh, Hang On, little bar up there by the hotel that has really good food. And we go there and then really don't have much to do after we're done with that, after we eat. So that'd be a good idea. We'll run back down there and
shoot the shit. Just imagine that. Us wanting to shoot the shit.
Maybe sell some more standards.
Or maybe, but the deal is on that. So if you do go back, I mean, that's what's good about that idea is, like, you never know if you're showing chickens or if you're there for the waterfowl breeders, and mostly that, your Saturday is pretty much consumed with wherever you are.
Yeah.
And you really don't, you may pass through, but that evening thing, hey, you could get a Pepsi and walk the other barn and walk through and take it, because it doesn't take that long to get through if you're not stopped you stop, you start talking, and next thing you know, you're like 8 aisles over thinking, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing here?
Forgot where he was going.
Yeah. Oh, that's happened a lot. Usually when I'm going towards the bathroom, I got to go like 45 minutes before I think I have to go, because by the time I get there, it's been an hour just trying to get out. And be right back. Be right back. Be right back. So no, it's a great show. I'm glad. I'm glad you got entries. 2,500. That's a nice show.
Yeah, real nice show. We're real happy with that. And, probably more than that we could handle, but that would be a good chunk to swallow. I don't think we've had a show that big before. So not since I've been around. So.
Well, good deal. Tell us about your birds, Amanda. I know you're big in the Brown Leghorns Club, and you've been at it for a while. So since we got the show out of the way, tell us a little about what you raise and how you do it.
So dark brown leghorns, rose comb, and single comb, and bantams, and large fowl. So I ended up picking up some rose comb from Bud last year at the fall show. He had some extra. He said, "How do you want to take some of these home?" I thought, sure, why not? It's been a while since I've had rose comb with the large fowl, and took those home, and had picked up a few bantams from Curtis Oak. And so I ended up adding more to those this past year when Paul Gilroy passed away. Got the opportunity to get some of his stuff and jumped at that opportunity. And, after this going through surgery, a little over a year and a half ago, it's kind of been a rebuilding year. So it's finally feel like I can get out and do stuff and not be in so much pain and everything. So it was hatching this year. That was good. And just trying to get back in the groove of things. So
good deal.
Yeah.
I know we heard at Bath that Steve Wozniakowiak, I think I said that without screwing it up.
I think so.
He is getting like zoned out of his area. So I know he has single comb and single comb light and dark brown. So he may have to liquidate some birds. And I know those were really good the last time I judged them. So there may be an opportunity for somebody if Steve's not going to be able to keep them. But he had dark brown bantams are kind of my soft spot, but they're just kind of spotty in popularity compared to the light brown. So you don't see a lot of good ones. And sometimes they tend to be a little big. So that was always kind of their problem to get them to the size down on them. But that's to me, there's not a more beautiful bird out in the sun than a dark brown, because you can't see all that when they're inside, but you can, when they're out in the sun, you can see all the stippling and the color variation that you can't normally see when they're shut up inside.
Yeah, I think I've had the dark brown since I ever started with poultry, and I've had different breeds over the years, had some waterfowl, a little bit of everything with showing in 4-H, and they've just always stick around. Everything else kind of comes and goes, but that's one thing that's stuck around. And luckily I have Bud to kind of help go through birds, and even Michael. And, we've kind of joked with Bud a little bit. Me and Michael, we're like, maybe we'll throw a Leghorn show at your house, just kind of throw them underneath the bus there, just joking. We could have all the different colors of Leghorns, just for educational. So
yeah, he probably could put one on himself if he wanted to, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could. He's got all kinds of different browns, so.
Well, now that you got the unrelated Patterson brothers together, the unrelated Patterson, Jonathan and Doc are both doing buff leghorn bantams, and they just brought them out this weekend down at Moon City. So we got to see some of those, and in just a short time, they've made some really good progress. So we'll see some buffs here pretty quick, I'm thinking, buff bantams.
Yeah, I think that'd be great to see all the different ones, I mean, it's always good to see a Leghorn, definitely my favorite. And there's awesome breeders to talk to get more knowledge and to work with them. So, I mean, for me, I know I just need to spend the more time with them, and I've slowly been cutting back on work and everything. So that's going to help with that too. So hopefully it comes in more time there.
Yeah, they take more time. They're not a just go catch them up and throw them in a caged chicken. They take time. Speaking of Mike, speaking of Michael, he showed some of the best black leghorns, large fowl, I'd ever seen. I mean, they're the size of whites. A couple of years ago, he had an exceptional female, if I remember correctly. I don't know if it was a hen or a pullet, but there's another one. I mean, there's a lot of leghorns in Ohio. And the surrounding, there really is, of all different colors. So that's a good deal. They're a beautiful bird when they're right. Yeah. When they're not in feather, not so much.
Like all mine.
Yeah, Matt's is ugly, right now.
I said, don't take no pictures of them. Nobody wants to see that mess. The tail going 5 different ways and feathers everywhere. And the females, when they're not in condition, they just look like they ought to be culled. But this one day you'll go out there and they just blossom. It's that's what we're waiting on, the blossoming, and the pullets are looking good. So I got to keep Jeff on his game.
I think that rosecomb class, I've seen, I think, more white rosecomb than there may only be a couple handful of single comb whites this time. So I think this time it's going to be a whole different ball game at the show.
Yeah, he started enough people. I know I've judged several classes this year, and they all tell me they get started from Jeff. And I said, well, he's got them. And Keith Wagoner, we judged one of his birds. He has really nice white bantams too, rosecomb. So down in Alabama, or I guess he's in Alabama.
He's in Alabama,
Yep. I knew he's Alabama, Georgia. He's closer to the line than the rest of them, but he had a really nice one. So Jeff's done a good job getting those out and about and promoted. So I have them.
Yeah, I seen your entry, seen Jeff's, and a few other people, and I thought, well, this will be an interesting class for sure. That's gonna stop some people, I know.
Yeah, and last year, best in reserve leghorn at the fall show were 2 rosecombs. So he won with a rosecomb pullet, and I won on the one show, and I won with a rosecomb male in the other show. I think that's in the other show. So that's good that a rosecomb can go to best of breed, because sometimes they just overlook them, as you know from showing them over the years. That's one thing I harp about when I'm judging is we don't pick rosecomb and single comb until we got the leghorns and the reds and the nankins and all that dorkings and all the stuff that have both combs judged. And it gives them a fair shake and keeps them people happy too, because your rosecomb reds and your rosecomb leghorns can actually win best of breed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've actually started putting on those clerking sheets like a neon sticker that says, please check for, the other comb. And I think people that's truly helped, because if your clerks don't know, they don't know, and they don't know what you have at the show. So it's just one of those added things that I think people have kind of appreciated, that at least, that bird gets looked at,
Right.
Even if it is walking, 3 rows back to look at them.
I've gotten the habit, if I'm doing rosecomb and single comb, I won't do nothing crazy with best of breeds until I either walk over there or talk to the other judge, or if I'm doing them, I won't pick it till I do the other class. I'll just leave them hang until we get there. Now, if I've got a bird that I think's better than the rosecomb red or the rosecomb leghorn in the rosecomb class, I've went ahead and made a Wyandotte best rosecomb clean leg. But sometimes on the reserve, I'll wait till I get that other stuff done. So, but that's the way you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to wait till you get it done until you get it picked. So I appreciate the shows that follow that. When I had rosecomb reds years ago, you'd be surprised. I'd walk in there and the best of breed's already picked, and they haven't even done the rosecomb. So it don't give you any encouragement when you're raising one of those varieties that they've already done it. So it always looks better if you wait.
We went so far as if like it's just a couple of us judging, that if we're doing single comb clean leg, when we're done with the leghorns and the reds, if whether you're judging the rosecomb birds or not, say, hey, the guy doing the rosecombs out there, can I go ahead and judge them, and then go ahead and pick so you can at least get the best of breed and reserve a breed done, and then when everything's done, then you can settle down. But yeah, it's a real pain in the butt if you forget.
Yeah. And then I think trios is the other area that kind of gets, we have more trios than what we've had, those really grown over the past years, and kind of putting those up in the correct order. And I know Wolf kind of helped with that when that first started going, of where do things go. So I've been lucky to have that mentor there of Bill Wolf and Bulls to kind of help with questions that come up as a show secretary that you don't know. So
that's a good thing. I like to see that, because that's kind of how we come up in the old trio days. And I'm glad to see it come back, because that's a true breeder that can do those things. If you've got enough birds where you can put down one in every class, and then either an old or young trio. And it's very competitive. And actually, if you have enough of them, there's starred wins and points for that best in reserve trio show. So it's a good class. I know a lot of master breeders who have made their master breeders stuff on winning trios. So
and displays. Yep.
the displays, there's a knack to it, and we try to teach people how to do that. I know years ago, Julie Black with her big white Chanticleers, we taught her how to pick out trios, and it probably was creating a monster because I think she won best trio every time she showed after that because she was doing what the old boys used to do. She was putting her best 3 birds in that trio, and those 2 Pulitzer hens had to match. So she got really good at it there towards the end. And I know she's with the Chanticleers. She's won a lot of champion trio shows and reserves with those.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. To get females that actually match. That's why it's so amazing, because it's not an afterthought. Well, I got a trio winner. We'll put these 2 now. That's not the
I always tell everybody you got to watch them. So what we do is we pen up 5 or 6 and just stand back and watch. So they might feel the same, or when you're handling them, they might look the same, but they don't look the same when they're in the cage. That's kind of the telltale sign. So they have to kind of move. Usually it's 2 sisters are usually perfect for that because they're normally real close, but they kind of got to stand the same and move the same, even though they may look the same when you're handling them. You got to want to make sure that you check them out in the cage first too before you, because I don't know how many times I've gotten to a trio and one's laying down or over in the corner and the other one's showing really good, or it's like that. Why is that bird with this other bird? Because it's way better. But you have to watch them a little bit too. So we talked about sitting in the barn and watching the birds, although we don't have a lot of time sometimes when you're picking out a trio. That's something I always do with the females. I always try to put a really good male in there, if not my best male.
Your male's that's half.
The points. And then the females are 25 apiece, and how they match is a big chunk of that. So
yep. Because if the male has a DQ, the whole thing's thrown out. You have to watch what you're doing. And many times we've had best and reserve of whatever come out of the first place trio. And that's another thing. Judges, sometimes they overlook that. Well, if they've never done it, they don't understand it. I can and I've even had to tell me you can't do that. It's like, well, bullshit. I mean, champion of the show can be the first pullet, first hen, or cockerel, or whatever, out of a trio. Because you can be best to reserve a variety and breed in a trio. I
had best and reserve featherleg one time at the Congress come out of a trio of Millie Fleur de Ucles that were old Jerry Oves. And not a lot of people know that Jerry had those, but they were very good. And when you're on the East Coast, your best birds go in the trio. And he had done that. He had put his best male and his best 2 hens in that trio, and they were best in reserve featherleg. And I think one of those birds went best to show. So it's possible they could all come out of that trio in the class. There's no doubt. And I have done it, especially like in Wyandottes or something where your pullets match up a little better, but I can't decide on which one's the best. So I'll make one best and one reserve. And it's a good, neat deal. And it's a breeder's thing, I think. Everybody, I don't like trios. Well, most people don't like trios are those ones that are either going out and buying birds or they raise one good bird. When you can do a trio, we've had a few people on here, John Miles, Matt Burnett, and some of those guys, they're getting good at it because it's not big in the South, but up here it is. And it's big here in the East Coast pretty much. Those are the hot spots for trios, but those guys are getting good at it, and they've got enough birds that are good enough to do it too. So
they got a lot of good chickens.
Yes.
So it helps. I mean, if you got just 2 or 3, don't do a trio.
Right.
But
then that always comes into play for those displays when I'm calculating those points. So people always want to know, well, who wins that? Well, it's like somebody wins their class and wins with a champion trio, that just bumps up, and they have, like you said, multiple birds. It just
and like with those rosecomb white leghorns now being so popular, then that puts them in there because there's enough of them to where all them points add up when you have that quantity of birds entered. It's basically a mathematical calculation. So the more birds in the class and the more birds you place in the class, the higher up you go in that. And it's a show secretary's nightmare, but we did have I hope you have it. We used to have a Excel spreadsheet that did it for you. So you just put the numbers in Karen Unrath had come up with a neat little Excel spreadsheet that you can put your numbers in, and it calculates your trio points for you in just a few seconds, as opposed to the old days when me and Mike Stitzer would sit around with a calculator and both of us would come up with a different number. So, but Mike's really good at he can do them in his head. He's done enough of them over the years, but yeah, it's an interesting class, and I'm glad to see that's a tradition still. While we've lost some of the stuff, we still have that going on. And beautiful awards. Bud's is a master painter, and he's always done something different for your awards every year. So, after 50 years in this, there's totes of shit around here. Probably some of the few ones I've kept are Bud's plates and things that Bud and Brad both things they've designed and given away at that show over the years. So it's unique. It's not just any more trophies and plaques or just trophies and plaques. You only can have so many, and then I don't know how many times have we gleaned them out, Mike, and then it seemed like they collect again. So
but I mean that's
the awards at Dayton are very unique, and they're not the same every year. You guys change them up. So
now that's what's nice about having Bud make that stuff. That's like it when Norman was on and Danny were on at their show. John Neff usually makes the champion. They're never the same 2 years in a row, and they're a work of art. Well, Bud's stuff is a work of art. I mean, it's artwork. It's just not some stamp thing, boom, with a plate on it, with an engraved little thing. I mean, there's time that goes into that, and original artwork. It makes a difference. It's something you can treasure a little bit longer, I think.
And I was glad before Brad died, I had him paint me I don't know, it's around here somewhere, but he painted me a Chanticleer, because there's not many pictures of Chanticleers out there, but that I always have, because it was probably one of the last ones he did.
Oh yeah, that's Bud. Ever since I've been, the plates. So we had medallions for the juniors. Got away from those. Like you said, we kind of change over the years, and people always want to say, "Let's go look at Bud's awards," and it's like, absolutely, come back and look at them, and see what's there this year that maybe wasn't there before. And people always are like,
changes the birds up on the class champions, and they're always unique.
And people will ask you, well, what about this bird? And I'm like, well, if it's not up there, if you want it sponsored, I mean, I'm sure Bud can make it. So, he's been so great. He'll say, well, I've got this new, he had the trivets the one time. He said, what do you think about this? I said, I think those are great. Let's try that, something different with the birds. And people just seem to really like, like you said, getting a actual bird. Yeah.
No.
I appreciate them. That's about all I can think of. Mike, got anything else for Amanda today? They're getting back to getting coop cards ready.
Yeah.
You're on the coop. You're on the writing expedition now, are you?
I am on the printing expedition. The printing.
That's right. I forgot. Computerized printing.
Yep.
Good deal. Well, you still got a sticker, because I know you and your color coordinated stick. When you're judging and I see that lime green dot, I go, shit, here's a trio, because you walk and you can't always, no matter how good your clerk is, it's the same as the judge. You get into it and you say, well, here's two more bullets. You go, wait a minute, why is there a cockle in between? You see those dots, you know exactly what's going on there. So,
well, Amanda learned the Bill Wolf lesson years ago, is you don't want to have too much help hanging tags. That job has to go to somebody that knows what they're doing, and she always does. There, you have your cocks, hens, cockerels, pullets, trios, not backwards or not in the middle. Or we get to some shows and it's like, my God, who laid this out? Or the whites are cock, hen, cockerel, pullet trios, and the blacks are trios, pullets, cockerels, hens, cock. Yeah. It's like, whoa, wait a minute here. So I'm used to going in that order, and when they hang them backwards, then I go down the other end, come this way, because it's just a thought process, I guess. But I know you learned real quick early on as a secretary that you don't want a bunch of people in there when you're hanging tags, because if you screw something up and they're 5 rows ahead of you, guess what you're doing? You're backtracking and moving. So
Oh, trust me, there's been plenty of times that Wolf's shown up and I didn't have stuff sorted correctly, and he's like, "You got to fix this before we move on." And he's right, it's got to be because we'll get done hanging tags, and then we always go eat lunch and kind of joke, and he's like, "Well, that wasn't that bad," and he's like, "It's not that bad when we have stuff in order and the correct
Yep.
cock in, cock don't pull it."
That's
So.
a major mistake alleviator if you can do that part right, because then you're not running around Saturday morning trying to find a place to put the bird. And it's always bad when a bird's out of class, because then you got the clerk to deal with to make sure they know where it's at, and then the judge goes and judges it, and that would be bad enough for one show, but you got to do that for 2 shows. So it's always good to have everything pretty well flawless before you start.
Yeah, and we've had those moments where they've not been flawless, and we've had
You'll
some
learn.
grace. Some grace with some people when stuff got lost in the mail and just couldn't find it, and then we got to put them a couple rows back, and then always trying to work to get them in if somebody doesn't bring their other birds. So tons of work from everyone of making that happen, and so.
Yep, but as long as you can write on the sheets or something. As long as the judge knows, you usually say, "Hey, we got this row back here. There's 2 or 3 or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
That's what's important, because when a judge gets all done, they say, "What about those 3?" And you're going, "Oh shit!" Well, that's one of the better when you've already picked the whole class. Then you're there scribbling stuff out, and it just wonder, and then you get the people wonder what was going on here. Jeez. It's a damn chicken show. You act like there's money involved. Good Lord.
And I want to say we're human, mistakes are going to happen.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
I always use my grandpa's old line. He's always told me years ago, he says, God only made one perfect person and they nailed him to a cross. So you'll make mistakes. You just got to learn how to fix them.
Yep.
Exactly. No, I think that's it. Unless Amanda's got something else. If not, do you have the date? What is that? October
3rd is Friday. You can come in at noon. We'll be open till 10 is when we shut the barn doors. And then we'll open back up on Saturday at 6 a.m. And everyone's cooped in by 9 o'clock to start the judging. So, and then release Sunday morning. It's, I would say, 10:30, 11 is kind of
usually we're on the road by 11. So and then we're going to be open Saturday night to 9 or 10?
Probably 9 or 10. Yeah. So
whenever everybody wanders out, or whenever you get tired and want to go get some sleep.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys want to see us, we're usually there right around 12:01. For some reason, we're always there, and it's like, damn, we've been here all day.
First one's there because we're about 75 miles away, so it's kind of like our back door. So,
well, it's when you get up. I mean, it's like it takes me an hour and 20 minutes to get the mats. It's like, well, I don't have to leave till 10. Well, then I'm up, and it's like, Christ, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to mats. You get everything done. The truck's loaded. Go to mats, and it's the same thing. Well, we don't have to leave. Next thing you know, it's like 11 o'clock. It's go, oh hell, let's just go. So, but I mean, you get stuff in, then we sit and watch the festivities.
Watch the parade.
The parade, because as a lot of you may know or may not know, if you see us, once we get them things in there and fed and watered, they're chickens. They're on their own till the next day. We don't go through all that other hassle stuff. We're there to have fun, damn it. And
I think we kept our record this weekend too, because we got there Saturday morning, walked down the aisle and said, "Yeah, they look good." That's the way they went. Is
never touched it.
We talk a lot of times. People fuss and fuss and fuss, and they actually do more harm to their birds than they do good. Especially Sunday morning on Champion Row. If it made it up there, just go dust it off a little bit, but don't be up there doing major operations on Sunday morning, because probably not going to help.
No. Yep. Just let it show. Let it show. So, well, Amanda, thanks a lot for joining us, and we'll see you in a little over a week. We'll have fun and festivities, and we'll laugh, and I might even cuss a little bit. You never can tell what might come out of our mouths, but we'll be there, and hopefully we'll do something. We'll do a little more at the show. And we'll get some. I know I'm going to bring the regular camera too.
Okay.
And because I I did a little of that at Moon City, and that'll be coming out. But I think people just like to see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially
even
those that can't go. It's always a
yeah,
big. I hear
And-
that from everybody. That I'm so glad you took some pictures because we couldn't go or we wasn't able to get there, and we just like seeing it. I know.
and I
Remember Joanne Tanis and Maury?
yeah
They're
yeah
getting up in years and they can't go no more, and she just loves all this that
yeah.
we're doing because it kind of keeps her in it, and
And,
she gets to see everybody.
and I mean to go every time. I mean to go down Champion Row.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a brain fart and get talking, and then I forget to go down Champion Row. But we're going to try to do that. And since there's so many waterfowl, I think we should do maybe a couple segments. It's not like we don't have the feed tent this time, so that'll be a little bit less. We do have the ABA thing, but we'll wrangle somebody to.
We can split that up.
Yeah, but I like to get a little more actual video of the show, and then we'll put something together. And a week or so after the show, we'll throw it out there for people to see, and then you can see it too. You'll have it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Maybe hit Rick up. He's not very talkative, but probably on camera. But he would be a good one that has tons of history and knows way back when, and Carl Papler and all that. So I got great club members. I can't talk enough about the club and how their help is greatly appreciated and make this crazy thing happen, and we all go, are we a little crazy for doing this twice a year? But we look forward to it too. So
they're all good people too.
Rick's been in it as long as we have, but the funny thing is Tyler Greer's grandpa was a member of that club when we started. So that's going back like 3 generations there. So
yep, Chuck used to come to things too. So
oh yeah, he had his opinion, didn't he?
Yeah.
But like we say, go ahead, hon.
I mean, I love all those people, Walter Kreitzer that used to be there, and Bill Sherwin, over the years, and even Grant Malone and his Buckeyes, just some great memories and great people. So
and you still have great people.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't put that thing on by yourself.
Oh no, not at all.
There's no way. That's a sure way to fail. You may get it done one time, but it's so hard to sustain when there's no one to delegate to, and there's no one to listen to, and there's no one to bounce all the ideas off of. Now, y'all get along good. And like I said, it's very exhibitor friendly.
Yep.
And you try never to make the same mistake twice, the same as when we're judging. Hey, sometimes you screw up. You just remember, don't do it again. And you learn from those experiences. So that's a good deal. Well, we look forward to seeing you. One more thing. Like, subscribe, and share. We're on 3.5 platforms.
Yeah.
We're on Spotify.
I forgot. We did forget
TikTok.
to mention our friends from Red Barn Silkies want to come on and do a little silky thing. So we will get the boys on, and they have a big YouTube presence, or not YouTube, but Facebook presence itself with their stuff. But we haven't had any truly silky folks on, and I cringe because I want to get good ones. I don't want to.
They would be some good ones to get on. So
yes, those guys are great.
And they have definite ideas on how they do things, and how they perceive it should be done. And they try. They're a lot like us, and if they just try things, if it sounds like it'll work, they'll try it. So I'm really looking forward. Mark approached us last weekend and asked, and I said, that'd be fantastic. We thought, so there'll be 5 of us on here, but on opinions on everything from how-tos and the whys and the what shouldn't be's. There's a lot of what shouldn't be's.
I've been really pushing getting started in it. So if that's what you like and you want to get started in it, it's very important you go to somebody like them that's the right person, because too many people are getting hustled in silkies right now, and it just burns me, because what they're doing is they're discouraging other people from getting in the hobby when they do that to them. And we've talked to several, and there's lots of good ones out there. Our friends Tony and them down in Florida and Alabama are great. And
Bailey's here.
Bailey, Shuckers. Shorty's
a lot
not here
more.
with us no more, but the Littons, there's some good people out there that won't cheat you. And I just hate to see people get cheated,
Yeah,
especially the kind of money we're talking. And
yeah. And even if some of these people ask you more money than just a little bit, you're going to get the value. You're going to get your money's worth on the bird to breed, not just show. And I don't think any of them will intentionally steer you wrong.
no, you're not going to get disappointed at a show like we're the bad guys at that point because we have to tell you what's wrong with it, and you didn't know that when you bought it. And Mike said something last week, and I've been thinking about it a lot, and we need to keep reiterating that. But we all started from square zero, and sometimes when we've been in this a long time, we think we're up here, and you got to always remember to go back down to where you don't know nothing. And if somebody was walking into your show on Saturday morning and this is their first time and they need to start, we like to line them up with the person that's going to help them, not the one that's going to harm them. So that's my podium post for that crap, because there's nothing that can get me fired up more than somebody getting cheated right in front of me. And I've seen it, and normally I'll call it out too. So those that do that, beware.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. One little thing, because I was talking to Terry this morning, and I decided I really like my big black coaches. All right, that's not a startling thing
for all these years.
Yeah, but here's the revelation, and it's become that now with everything, because I've always kind of been like this with the whites. I am not gonna raise enough of them that money that I sell them for makes a shit and bit of difference. I mean, it does. It feels good. I mean, I still like to sell a few things, but if I like them for me. And I would rather give somebody that I know that needs help, I'd rather give them a bird to help them than to sell that bird. And if not, I'll just keep that bird, because in the first place, I'm tired of the bullshit. Like I said, they are chickens. We spend a lot of money on going to shows, and we spend this and we buy, we'll try, and we got what, $1,500 incubators and stuff. There's nobody to be made, but it's our hobby, and we want to enjoy that hobby. And when you make that hobby a business, it takes the enjoyment out of it for me, and it adds pressure that I don't want. I don't want that pressure. I had that pressure racing horses. That made a big difference. I mean, we're talking money, not these little, 50 for this and 50 for that, $100 for this. So, but that was just, I've kind of come to a revelation. Now, whether I carry out or not, we'll see.
Well, I did to get to share some Chanticleer. So with the Chanticleers, we've had so much trouble that I don't sell them, and very rarely let somebody else. You okay there, Amanda?
Yeah, you would think I would have this whole respiratory thing under control, but
yeah, I don't let very many people have them, but I did let a couple pairs of partridge go last weekend to my friend Kim Munden, because I knew that she would work with them, and she understands they're not like ready to go in and win best of show. There's a little work left to be done. So it always makes you a little reluctant to sell things. With the whites, it was always the Merricks. I just hated to sell them, and then they go die. So that makes you look bad as a breeder. And so I just don't sell them. And it's not that I want to hoard them all. It's just that I'm just not comfortable letting them go at this point. Maybe this year, I don't know. I've started a few people out in them, but like Mike says, I give them to them. Here you go. This is what you need. And if you need more back, if they die, we'll get you more and go from there. But we got to get the right people with the right birds and then line them up with the right people. And we usually do that anyways at the shows, but it'll be good to get them guys on and see what their opinions are.
Yep, I agree. Hey, Amanda, you don't know anybody that's a respiratory, you don't know anybody in that business, do you, hon?
No, don't know anybody that's a respiratory therapist.
Oh, Lord. Confident.
Mark Atwood's favorite thing when he would come to a show, he would come to Dayton, to Greenville, or anywhere else I'd see him, and he'd be like, "Do you want a cigarette?" And I'm like, No, Mark, but thanks for that. I'm like, you do, because he knew I was a respiratory therapist, and he
Yeah.
just thought that'd be the funniest question ever for me. And I'm like, no. Ugh,
Yeah, she won't take a cigar either, guys. We've
No.
tried.
No.
We've tried.
nope.
So, all right. Well, I guess we can get off here. But Amanda, thanks a lot, and we will see you in 9 or 10 days.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you guys for having me on.
Well,
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.